Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Man, what can I say? Southern Fried Gaming Expo 2024 didn't disappoint. We had a huge blast there. And I gotta say, there were some big disappointments and there were some pretty unexpected surprises that I really enjoyed, all related to pinball, but let's get it. All right, so the biggest and probably best surprise that I found to be the best was John Wick. I did not have any expectations of actually enjoying that game. I'll be honest, I was one of the ones that was kind of a little put off initially because it didn't have the guns in there. And I was like, well, man, John Wick does have a lot of guns in it, and you don't even have a little bit, like one shot of it on the artwork, which that was kind of a disappointment. I did not like the cabinet artwork personally. Now the playfield, I really, everything inside the game I loved. Now to be honest, I actually love the Pro more than I did the Premium. I just like the way the Pro shot, and I feel like honestly the Pro had a lot in it for the money, and that's one thing. I don't think I would go to a Premium. For me, I didn't think I seen enough there. And maybe I didn't spend enough time on it because, you are I was kind of a little bit rushed, but at the same time, that Pro, it really, really shocked me. Now, the other one is not a huge surprise that I really enjoyed, but Texas Chainsaw Massacre, because I love the layout. Looney Tunes, I love the layout. I wasn't sure how I was going to enjoy Texas Chainsaw because I'm not a huge horror fan, but it did not disappoint. And boys and girls, let me tell you, you've got to check out the butter cabinet from Spooky. I mean, I didn't get it on Looney Tunes or Scooby. It's kind of a disappointment that I didn't. I mean, it's a chunk of change, don't get me wrong. It's like a $2,000 option, but it is, man, when you see it and the light reflecting off of it like it does, the shine to it, there's nothing that compares. Like, there's no pinball machine on the market that compares to that. Absolutely amazing, beautifully done machine. Now, the game, I will tell you, if you own a Looney Tunes and you go and try to play Texas the way you play Looney Tunes, you feel so lost because the code is, and that it really does change the entire game. And honestly, it's nothing like Looney Tunes as far as that goes. I mean, other than sharing the layout, the code is completely different. The skill shots are completely different. I really enjoyed it. Now, the only complaint that my dad had on the Texas Chainsaw was that it was a little bit hard to see because it was dark in there. But there were some lighting issues in the building there because you have these overhead lights, the glare and everything. So I imagine once you get it out of that type of setting and like into a home or even in an arcade where it's darker, it wouldn't be an issue at all. But really enjoyed TCM. Another surprise, though, too, is Elton John really is a beautiful game. Jersey Jack does do a really good job sometimes of making beautiful games. And I feel like Elton John actually looked way better in person than I expected. It's not really my cup of tea as far as how it shoots and stuff like that. It really is not a game that I was ever going to buy anyway. I'm not an Elton John fan necessarily. I mean, I like some of his songs, but it's not... I'm not paying the 13 and 15 either. I'm not paying that money for a JJP. A couple of the disappointments that I had there and a couple of games. And first, we're going to start with the 70th anniversary. You guys may have seen the short video that I did, a few more clips of it. It's just not, I love the cabinet. I think the cabinet's great. I just don't like the playfield. The playfield just doesn't, everything inside, it's honestly opposite of John Wick. I love everything inside the cabinet on John Wick, don't like the stuff on the outside. And when you talk about the Godzilla, I love everything on the 70th. I love everything on the outside, but not the inside. Not to mention, I think there's a little bit of a misunderstanding. The screen is not going to be black and white, only the splash screen. I know I initially thought it was going to be redone in black and white. So it's not a game that, I'm happy as an LE that I'm glad that it's not better than the LE, but at least in my opinion, I know some people, everybody's got their opinion about it. And I feel like the camera actually did it justice because I feel like actually looking at it from my camera perspective, it actually picked up a lot better than your eyes do as far as some of the contrast there. It seemed more washed out in person, like with my eyes on it, than it did in the camera. I think the cameras actually did that one justice, surprisingly. Now, the other big disappointment was Jaws. I mean, the premium, I did enjoy the premium. I did not like the pro on that. That seemed very barren. It's not a game for me. Pro, not a game for me. Honestly, premium's not a game for me. It's something I would play on location, but it's not something I want to have in my house. John Wick, on the other hand, I would actually put in my house. So, you guys watched some of my streams in the past. I'm not a good player. I am a horrible pinballer, period, point blank. But I like things, I just like how things feel. I'm not good at code. Like, I understand, that's one thing I do like about Spooky. I understand their code, at least like on Looney Tunes and Scooby. Like, I know how to play it. I just don't know how to play it. Now, that's something I struggle with some of the other companies. I feel like Spooky does really good on that. But back to the disappointments. So Jaws, really not a game for me. I did enjoy the premium, but not something I wanted to own. And I will tell you, a big disappointment. American Pinball Barbecue. I was told not to dislike that game. And then I went and played it, and I hated it even worse. Like, I mean, I looked at it, and I'm like, this looks very bland and plain. Probably the worst tasting barbecue you'd ever have. And then, unfortunately, it was not a fun game, in my opinion. Honestly, the only American pinball game that I've ever enjoyed has been Houdini. I feel like every game they've put out since then has definitely not been my cup of tea. I've tried Oktoberfest, didn't care for it. I tried Hot Wheels, really wanted to like that because, I mean, I love Hot Wheels theme, man. That's what I grew up playing with. I hated that game. I hated the way it shot, the way it felt. It just didn't feel right. And, yeah, I didn't feel this at all. I mean, it was honestly not good. I did not care for the playfield, the way it shot. It just was not good. But I will say the biggest disappointment of all has nothing to do with the game. It wasn't there, so I can't dog it. But I was really looking forward to being able to play Labyrinth, and unfortunately, due to unfortunate circumstances with shipping company and stuff, it did not make it on site. They tried getting it there best they could, but unfortunately didn't make it. So I'll have to play that one another time. It's, again, not a theme that I really care about, but it does look like a pretty awesome game. So I really want to get my hands and play on that. You guys got to keep this in mind that I own a Looney Tunes, I own a Scooby, so I really enjoy those games a lot. And those would be at the top of the list if this was, if I was reviewing every game at the show. But I wasn't doing that. I was mainly focusing on the new stuff, things that I don't own. And for me, I really enjoyed John Wick, and I really enjoyed TCM. Those two games stood out to me the best. But that's going to do it for this one, folks. Hang in there, guys. Hit that subscribe button. We'll catch you next time.